Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pradan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshantarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurtushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam jivra vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishayeta dhiraha sarvam apimam pritaving sajashyat atyaharaha prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha Shadbhir bhakti vinashyati Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat Tat karma pravartanat Sangatyagat sato vrittehe Shadbhir bhakti prasidhyati Dadati pradigrihnati Guhyamakhyati pritchati Bhunte bhojayate chaiva Shadvidam priti lakshanam. So these are the 4 verses that you have to memorize for your Updeshamrita or Nectar of Instruction study for the exam. So today we're going to start the next text number 3. In text number 3, there are 6 qualities explained which help one easily control the 6 urges. The 6 urges were discussed in text 1. The habits, the qualities, or the tendencies which make it difficult to control the 6 urges were given in text number 2. And now the qualities which make it easier for someone to control those 6 urges are given in text number 3. So text number 2 specified the negative qualities, and text number 3 is specifying the positive qualities, which we must try to develop. Okay, let's look at the verse. Text 3 is Utsaha nishchayat dhairyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vrittehe shadbhir bhaktihi prasidhyati. Translation. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. Being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These six principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So, six principles favorable to executing pure devotional service, starting with utsaha, enthusiasm. Srila Prabhupada, in the purport in the beginning, defines devotional service. And then he goes to individual topics, starting with enthusiasm, and explains them. So, first is what is bhakti? The science of bhakti and the glory of bhakti. That is explained in the first section. We will read first, then we'll look at those points. Okay. So we have some hands up. Yes. Dev Prabhu, you can read this first paragraph.
I can't see the paragraph.
Can't see. How is it possible? We are sharing the screen now.
It's visible, Prabhupada.
It's visible.
Yes, now, yes. Devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has defined devotional service as follows.
Anyavilashiता shunyam jnanakarmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnano shilanam bhaktir uttama.
From Bhakti or unalloyed devotion into the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all other selfish desires.
Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada begins by telling us what devotional service is not. He says devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation, which means it's not something which I decide how I am going to do. I like it this way or I like it that way. No, it's not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy, which means we do feel happy when we practice Krishna consciousness. However, if we are not practicing Krishna consciousness in the right way, and still we are feeling some kind of joy and bliss, then we should not start considering that happiness or that feeling of happiness as actually the bliss of pure devotional service. So we should not take imaginative ecstasy as devotional service. Then what is devotional service? Its substance is practical activity. Devotional service means activity. Activity means enthusiasm. That's why Srila Prabhupada is beginning the whole the purport in this manner. Devotional service means activity, and activity means enthusiasm. If I don't have enthusiasm, how will I engage in any kind of activity? So then he gives the definition of devotional service. What is the definition of devotional service? Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadya navritamanu krishnanu shilana bhaktir uttama. We'll study more about this verse in Nectar of Devotion. So Uttama Bhakti involves rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all other selfish desires. That's called Uttama Bhakti, or pure devotional service. Okay, let's look at the next paragraph. Kunal,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Bhakti is a sort of cultivation. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down idly for meditation, as some pseudo yogis teach. Such idle meditation may be good for those who may have no information of devotional service, and for this reason, it is sometimes recommended as a way to check distracting materialistic activities. Meditation means stopping all nonsensical activities, at least for the time being. Devotional service, however, not only puts an end to all nonsensical mundane activities, but also engages one in meaningful devotional activities. Sri Prahlad Maharaj recommends Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnuho Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dashyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. Should I continue? The nine processes of devotional service are as follows. Hearing the name and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, someone else can read now, Prabhu.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we have Vrindarani Mataji. You can read the list.
Hare Krishna. The 9 processes of devotional service are as follows. 1. Hearing the name and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 2. Chanting His glories. 3. Remembering the Lord. 4. Serving the Lord's feet. 5. Worshipping the deity. 6. Offering obeisances unto the Lord. 7. Acting as the Lord's servant. 8. Making friends with the Lord. 9. Surrendering oneself fully to the Lord.
Thank you. So far, what we discussed, let's look at that in the presentation, just in points. So we discussed Bhakti is not sentimental speculation, imaginative ecstasy, or idle meditation. It is practical engagement and a kind of disciplinary practice, activity. That's why it's called sadhana. Sadhana means something which you do daily to achieve a very, very specific goal. That's called devotional service. And it's done in a disciplinary manner, which means you do it with regularity. And therefore, it is also known as a sort of cultivation. Like the word cultivation can be used in the context of cultivating crops, cultivating a relationship, cultivating anything which requires some time and you have to give attention to it on a daily basis. So bhakti is something like that it has to be cultivated, which means it will need your time, it will need your energy, it will need your attention, and it will also need an understanding of how to do it, knowledge. So when we are studying Bhakti Shastri, actually, we are only trying to understand the science of devotional service. It doesn't mean that because I'm doing Bhakti Shastri, I'm studying these books and then appearing for exams, then I am actually engaging in devotional service fully. No. Bhakti Shastri or studying these books, they only help us understand the science of how we have to do. But then the next step is we need to apply, we need to implement those instructions in our day-to-day life. Therefore, one of the criterion for doing a course like Bhakti Shastri was that one should be chanting every day 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and following 4 regulative principles. Because if we are not engaging in devotional activities, then just the study of the scriptures won't help much, right? So this is to be understood from this slide. And then we looked at this definition, but we are going to discuss more this in the book Nectar of Devotion, this particular verse, the definition of Uttama Bhakti. What happens on doing Bhakti then? Two things happen. Useless materialistic activities stop and positive engagement in devotional activities begin. If I am practicing devotee, these two things will happen. My engagement in materialist activities will stop or reduce, and my engagement in devotional activities will increase. Now, what are those devotional activities? Then the list was mentioned. These are the devotional activities, 9 in number. I'm quoting this verse from 7th canto, spoken by Prahlad Maharaj to his father Hiranyakashipu. And these are the 9 activities that a person practicing devotee has to engage in. Okay. So next point would be, or next question can be, Shavana. From where to hear then? I must hear, that's the beginning of spiritual life. So from where should I hear? So that's explained in the next paragraph by Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Upasana Mataji, read. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Shravanam or hearing is the first step in acquiring transcendental knowledge. One should not give oral reception to unauthorized persons, but should approach the proper person as recommended in Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipatena pranipatsena sevaya upadekshanti te janam jnananisha tattva darshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquiring from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
Thank you. So, Shravanam or hearing is the first step, and one should hear from a bona fide spiritual master. Approaching the bona fide spiritual master, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 4.34. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. Now, what are the qualifications of that bona fide spiritual master? That's explained in this paragraph, also in the next paragraph to some extent. It is further recommended in the Mundak Upanishad, Tad Vijnanartham Sa Gurum Eva Vigachet. To understand that transcendental science, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, this method of submissively receiving transcendental confidential knowledge is not merely based on mental speculation. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmite Kauna Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. Someone will read this paragraph now. Rupanshi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Am I audible, Prabhuji, in the course of Hare Krishna? In the course of traversing the universal creation of Brahma, some fortunate soul may receive the seed of Bhakti Lata, the creeper of devotional service. This is all by the grace of Guru and Krishna. Chaitanya Charit Amrit Madhya 19.151. The material world is a place of confinement for the living entities who are by nature Anandamay pleasure seeking. They actually want to be free from the confinement of this world of conditional happiness, but not knowing the process of liberation. They are bound to transmigrate from one species of life to another and from one planet to another. In this way, the living entities are wandering throughout the material universe. When by good fortune one comes in contact with a pure devotee and hears from him patiently, one begins to follow the path of devotional service. Such an opportunity is offered to a person who is sincere. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is giving such a chance to humanity at large. If by fortune one takes advantage of this opportunity to engage in devotional service, the path of liberation immediately opens. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So one has to hear from a bona fide spiritual master, and then Srila Prabhupada speaks about the good fortune of such a soul who begins to hear from such a spiritual master and then begins the life of devotional service to Krishna. Brahmanda Brahmite Kauna Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. Such an opportunity is offered to a person who is sincere. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is giving such a chance to humanity at large. If by fortune one takes advantage of this opportunity to engage in devotional service, the path of liberation immediately opens. Okay. Next paragraph. Gopi Manohar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Namaskar. One should accept this opportunity to return home, back to Godhead, very enthusiastically. Without enthusiasm, one cannot be successful. Even in the material world, one has to be very enthusiastic in his particular field of activity in order to become successful. A student, businessman, artist, or anyone else who wants success in his line must be enthusiastic. Similarly, one has to be very enthusiastic in devotional service. Enthusiasm means action, but action for whom? The answer is that one should always act for Krishna. Krishnartha Akhila Cheshta. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So I hope you notice how Srila Prabhupada very beautifully brings the point to the quality of enthusiasm. He first of all explains what is devotional service, then of course what it is not. And then the principle of devotional service is I should engage my senses in the service of the senses of the Supreme Lord. That means it's an activity. And when there is activity, there has to be enthusiasm to do that activity. That's why that quality is required in devotional service. Utsaha, to perform the activities of Krishna consciousness. Shiva says one should accept this opportunity to return home back to God very enthusiastically. Without enthusiasm, one cannot be successful. Even in the material world, one has to be very enthusiastic in his particular field of activity in order to become successful. Enthusiasm means action, but action for whom? The answer is that one should always act for Krishna. Krishna Artha Akhila Cheshta. Krishna Artha means for the sake of Krishna. Akhila means without any limit. Cheshta means endeavor. So endeavor in a limitless manner to serve Krishna. That's called enthusiasm, which means you are not satisfied in putting your efforts in serving Krishna. You want to put more and more efforts in serving Krishna. So that's called enthusiasm or utsaha. So once Srila Prabhupada was in Kolkata, he was visiting Kolkata temple. Radha Govind Mandir, if you have been to Kolkata temple, it's at Minto Park, very beautiful place. Next to a small, you can say a lake, which has water from Ganges. And Srila Prabhupada was visiting Kolkata, and that temple was having some managerial problems. So then he called for an Ishta Goshti. What is Ishta Goshti? Goshti means a meeting. And when you say Ishta Goshti, Ishta means your supreme worshipable Lord. So it's a meeting to discuss about the service to your Lord. That's called Ishta Goshti. So in the ashram, whenever we have meeting, we call it like that. It's a meeting to discuss seva, Krishna seva. So he called for an Ishta Goshti, and in that Ishta Goshti, all the devotees were asked to participate. The temple brahmacharis, the sannyasis, the grihasthas, the new, the old, everyone. So there were some problems. So Srila Prabhupada wanted to sort them out. So he noticed that one lady was not attending the Easter Goshti. So he told the temple president, who was a brahmachari, that go find out where that lady is. He did not know where she was. She was actually outside the temple, sitting next to the lake. She was in a bad mood. So the brahmachari said that, Prabhupada, I am a brahmachari. Why should I go and call her? Someone else can go and call her. So then Prabhupada said, that's okay. I know you're a brahmachari, but then I'm asking you to go and call her. So go find wherever she is and call her. So then he thought maybe she is somewhere in the city. I don't know. But then when he went downstairs, he found her sitting next to the lake, and then he called her and she entered the room. So Srila Prabhupada asked her, where were you? She said, I was sitting next to the lake. She said, but did you not hear the announcement that today we have a meeting? All the devotees are meeting together to discuss about the problems in the temple. And she was, of course, she had heard the announcement. So she was looking down. She did not want to participate. So at that time, Yamuna Mataji recalls, she was also there in the meeting. She said, Prabhupada then started telling them, all of them who were sitting there, you all don't know how much difficulties I have gone through to start this Krishna consciousness movement. I went to America all alone at such an age. There was no one I knew. And then all alone, I struggled to make this society, make these temples, bring all of you to Krishna consciousness. And then he said, you know why I was successful in my Krishna consciousness or the services that were given to me? So they all were looking at Prabhupada. Some of them were crying because Prabhupada was very, very sober at that moment. So then Prabhupada said, 3 qualities. If you have, you also will become successful in Krishna consciousness. So they asked, which 3 qualities? And he said, Utsaha, Nishchaya, and Dharya. Enthusiasm, determination, and patience. You have these 3 qualities, you too become successful in Krishna consciousness. So he had enthusiasm. Enthusiasm about what? Enthusiasm about fulfilling the instruction that was given to him. His Guru Maharaj gave him some instruction, some adesh, right? Do this. And he had enthusiasm to carry it out, right? So that's what we have to be enthusiastic about. People can have enthusiasm. People naturally are enthusiastic about doing different things. But when this verse says utsaha, it means you have utsaha to do Krishna conscious activities. That utsaha, that kind of utsaha is required. Not just that I have utsaha or I have enthusiasm. Enthusiasm for these activities. That is required, to make progress in Krishna consciousness. These activities. What are those activities? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vandanam, Dasyam. Those 9 activities. Or boiling it down for us in a very simple manner, chanting every day a specific number of Hare Krishna Mahamantra rounds, following 4 regulative principles, going to the temple in the morning, if not at the home, attending Mangalarti, such things, doing it daily. That's called enthusiasm. And that's very much required. Like we read now, Prabhupada says, without that, there is no success. So he says, accept this opportunity to go back to Godhead with great enthusiasm. And meaning is, we just read it now. Endeavor, okay, we have not read this line, but this will come soon. Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Now, this is a very important line. It's an endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness, right? Executed with intelligence. That's called utsaha. Endeavor executed with intelligence, right? That's called utsaha. Now, from where do we get that intelligence? And how do we get that intelligence?
From a devotee.
From a devotee. How?
By reading the scriptures, Prabhuji.
Okay, so by
Associating with the devotee.
By mentors and spiritual guides.
okay,
When
fine.
standing gives the intelligence to himself.
Fine. So by hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, one gets such intelligence. So with that intelligence, one engages in Krishna consciousness. Right? In Bhagavad Gita, we discussed, no, that verse came by Vivasaya Atmika Buddhi, Ekeha Guru Nandana. So that buddhi, that intelligence to be fixed up in Krishna consciousness is not something which we have. It is something which we borrow from those devotees who have that kind of buddhi. Right? So those who have that kind of buddhi, when they speak about Krishna and when we hear about Krishna from them, we also borrow that buddhi or intelligence. That buddhi does not come otherwise. It means you may have a very high level of IQ, material intelligence, but that doesn't mean that Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi will come to you. It comes by hearing from bona fide spiritual masters the message of Krishna consciousness. So when you endeavor with that intelligence, that's called utsaha. That intelligence should be there. That kind of utsaha, it nourishes one's bhakti lata. Right? We sometimes are so enthusiastic about doing so many different activities, even in the arena of Krishna consciousness. But then those activities should be done, it should be done with this intelligence, the buddhi of what we have heard from this bona fide spiritual master. That enthusiasm will be very, very helpful. If we don't do that, what is the danger? If I'm enthusiastic, but I'm not using my intelligence in Krishna consciousness, what will happen?
Not following devotional service and you don't reach the goal.
What else? If we are enthusiastic, but you're not using the intelligence, what will happen?
We will exploit the things and resources.
Very good, Prabhu. We will immediately land up in mode of passion, Rajoguna. Then it will no longer be in Sattvaguna or transcendence. Then it will become a Rajasic activity. So it has to be endeavor executed with intelligence. That intelligence comes by hearing from the right source. Okay. And then you engage in an action for Krishna, Krishna, Artha, Akhila, Cheshta, which means you follow the different limbs of bhakti with great respect and you engage in sadhana bhakti free from jnana or karma.
Can you give an example of execution without and with intelligence?
An example of executing enthusiasm without intelligence. Yeah, let's take this example that it's book marathon, book distribution marathon time. Okay. Everyone is so excited about distributing Prabhupada books. So you have been given a target by the community you belong. You have to distribute 200 Bhagavad Gitas or 500 Bhagavad Gitas or 1000 Bhagavad Gitas or 50 Bhagavad Gitas, whatever. And then you see others are also very enthusiastically participating. So one night you go out for book distribution and then you find that today your books are selling like hotcakes. In just a couple of hours, you have been able to distribute 400 Bhagavad Gitas. So then you continue distributing and then you spend the whole night at the subway distributing books. And then a Prabhu devotee comes and tells, Prabhu, let's go back to the temple. If you don't reach on time, then we'll miss the morning program. We have to go to the temple, attend Mangalarti. Before that, also take some rest. And then you say, no, you see, we're getting so much success in book distribution. So we should continue this activity. So their enthusiasm is there, but then one is missing the point of applying the intelligence in Krishna consciousness. What is that? That my ability to engage in prachar comes from my nice sadhana in the morning. If I don't engage in sadhana, I cannot do good preaching. Because if there's no nourishment, how will I nourish others? Right? So like that, we have to use our intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Then our enthusiasm is helpful, or otherwise it may become risky, dangerous enthusiasm. Okay. All right. So like that, we have to be enthusiastic, but we have to use intelligence. And that intelligence comes from hearing. Fine, let's read further. Okay, we have some comments. Acting according to our mental speculation is enthusiasm without intelligence. Yes, Mataji. Okay. Yes, this paragraph. Vijaya Krishnan Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
In all phases of life, one has to perform devotional activities under the direction of the spiritual master in order to attain perfection in Bhakti Yoga. It is not that one has to confine or narrow one's activities. Krishna is all pervading. Therefore, nothing is independent of Krishna, as Krishna himself states in Bhagavad Gita 9.4, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina mat stani sarva bhutani nachakam teshu avastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them.
Thank you,
Under the
Mataji.
direct Hare Krishna.
Sorry. So in all phases of life, one has to perform devotional activities under the direction of the spiritual master in order to attain perfection in Bhakti Yoga. One has to engage under the direction of the spiritual master in order to attain perfection in Bhakti Yoga. Now, this is something which people who are born in modern times have difficulty to understand and apply in life. That the path of bhakti or devotional service requires complete obedience to the masters or to the teachers. No, because this path is not so much based on our abilities. This path is more based on our stability of mind and intelligence. Our mind and intelligence stable. And that stability comes when you are sheltered. You have accepted a shelter. Because the modern generation, people have difficulty in accepting authorities because they've never accepted authorities. For them, the parents are not authorities. For them, the school teachers are not authorities. For them, their employers or boss in the company is not an authority. So then when they come to Krishna consciousness, so very hard to accept an authority and follow the authority. Very difficult. Right? But then they also want to be a devotee. So then what happens is they are enthusiastic, but they are on their own. On their own, but enthusiastic. The problem with that enthusiasm is that enthusiasm will die soon. or that enthusiasm will turn into Rajoguna. And then our devotional activity will become a materialistic devotional activity. Means devotional activity done for a materialistic goal, but not for a spiritual goal, right? So therefore, this quality of being always under the direction of the spiritual master is something which all of us have to learn for our own safety and protection. And of course, for maintenance on the path of devotional service. So how are we going to accept that direction? Are you going to check every time with your spiritual master? Today I'm going to do this. Is that okay? Tomorrow I'm planning to do that. Is that okay? Yeah, if you have such a spiritual master who can answer your questions and have the patience to do that, then it's fine, right? But if, let's say, that doesn't have so much time, then what are we going to do? Then how do we know?
Observe
Yeah.
sadhana bhakti, Prabhuji.
Sorry?
Observe the sadhana bhakti, Prabhuji.
Observe the sadhana bhakti. But then you want to do something. How are you going to check? With whom are you going to check?
With other devotees, Prabhuji.
Okay, we can check with other devotees. But what if those devotees are not really your well-wishing devotees? You may check, but then they may be not really your well-wishing, the well-wisher devotees. They may always discourage you from doing things. Mhm.
Exercise our intelligence, Prabhu.
Okay. Or else exercise our intelligence.
Then
Follow
in
the Guru's mind.
we can pray to Krishna for giving us for sending us the right person or giving us the right intelligence.
Send Krishna.
And can
Pray
we
to
check
Krishna.
our own reactions, Prabhu, for the same activities, that how we respond when somebody is not very good to us? How do we respond, and what anger? How much do we have?
That is a different thing. I'm saying if you want to do some seva, and then how are you going to check whether this is right? It should be done. It can be done. You may not always get to ask your spiritual master about it. Okay, so many points in the chat box. Check with the scripture. Check from your Siksha gurus. Krishna will guide you from within. Follow Guru's Vani. Correct. So there are so many ways to check actually. You can always pray to Krishna for guidance, for direction. You can ask your Siksha gurus. You can check with other devotees. You can study the scriptures and find examples if people have done such thing in the past. Right. And most importantly, if you're honest and you are really wanting to do it for Krishna's pleasure, then that activity is fine. Then that activity can be done. That enthusiasm is acceptable. So if that is there, one is always protected. If it is for Krishna's sake, one is always protected. Always protected. That's what Prabhupada mentions here. Krishna artha akhila cheshta. It should be done for Krishna. If that mentality is there, then one is protected. Then he says, under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, one has to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. One has to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. Everything favorable means everything, which means everything and everyone, which means all situations, all people, all things around you. Favorable for Krishna's service. Which means in my life, I should have no excuse. I am not able to do Krishna Bhakti. For whatever reason. That's called utsaha, that I am able to take the direction or the guidance of the spiritual master and able to make my life in such a way that everything becomes favorable for Krishna Seva. That's called utsaha, which means if I have given up oh, now it's so difficult. I cannot carry on anymore. That means I don't have utsaha or enthusiasm. But when I'm not giving up, I must persist. I must continue. I must find out a way. That's called utsaha or enthusiasm. Right? So that has to be done. Like recently, I was sharing another Bhakti Shastri batch. One Mataji, she asked a question that sometimes there are so many problems in life and it becomes really difficult to practice what you are supposed to practice. So it is true, but then here we are understanding if we take proper guidance from a proper source, and when we also have strong determination to work in that direction, then everything can become favorable for our Krishna consciousness. Even those problems, which are problems, can become favorable for our Krishna consciousness. Which means nothing can stop us from growing in Krishna consciousness. Things can stop us on physical level, things can stop us on mental level, things can check our activities on intellectual level, but nothing will be able to check us on our spiritual level. That will happen. And how is that possible? By taking direction from the bona fide spiritual master. Right? That's why the bona fide spiritual master is there in the life of a devotee, which means, you see, Krishna conscious Diksha is not like getting baptized by a priest in the church. You went there and one day you went through the process of baptism, that person give you a name, and now you are on your own, and that person sometimes meets you, says you hello, and asks you, how are you? You say, I'm fine. Right? Krishna consciousness initiation means now you as a student have made a goal and you are not able to achieve that goal. Thanks to what? Thanks to your bad habits, your sanskars, your material desires, right? You're not able to achieve that goal, but you have made that goal. That means I'm now struggling to achieve that goal. Now, when I'm struggling to achieve that goal, I want help. For that help, I will approach a person who can help me. Now, if I'm not approaching someone for help, or I am not feeling I need help, that means there's a problem. I have not yet made my goal. Right? So utsaha will come when that goal is made and I'm struggling to achieve it, but then I want to achieve it, so then I seek direction. And when I seek direction, then when that direction comes or guidance comes, I understand, well, every situation I can be Krishna conscious, there are no excuses. Every situation is possible. So that's actually Vaishnavism. Vaishnavism means that for you, no problem should be so big that it's stopping you from becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. That's the path of Vaishnavism. Right? No problem. No problem should be stopping me. So this attitude comes with the quality of enthusiasm. If I am enthusiastic to achieve that goal. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, while the enthusiasm is right and the deliberation towards the endeavor could also be there. But I think the important aspect that you said, there are three things that Prabhupada said, which is enthusiasm, determination, and patience. I think patience is also very important. You need to jump into the, to the fray when you're ready for it. Let me give you my own example. I know I've been associated for the last 4 years, but I don't think I was really, ready in terms of following the Ekadashi, Vrata and all that. So I didn't, while I was appreciating everyone doing it, and I was, I used to always check with others, how they do, what they do, and what it means, and all that stuff. But I myself didn't jump into it, or I couldn't do it rather, or maybe it just didn't happen. But then I think the patience paid off because I've just started it and I'm enjoying it. But had I done it per force, just because everyone else was doing it as part of my group and all that, I don't think I would have stuck on. So right now, I think it took me time, but then I know I'm far more in a better place than I would have been had I done it before, just because everyone else is doing it.
What you are saying is not the definition of patience. And that is also not enthusiasm to just jump into something.
Yeah.
Right? So what you are saying is you are slow. That's all. That's not called patience.
Yeah.
And to just jump into something, that is also not called enthusiasm.
Yeah. Maybe.
Because here enthusiasm means endeavor executed with intelligence. So to just jump into something that is not with intelligence, it's like just jumping into it blindly. Right? Correct? And when we talk about patience here, we should again know this is not that patience that we are talking about in general.
Right.
This patience means you are very enthusiastically working for the goal, but though you're not achieving the goal, you don't give up. That's called patience. Not that I am going very slow, I'm very patient. Right? You are giving 100%, but it's taking time to reach the goal. So you don't give up your, patience. That's called patience. Dhairya.
Agree.
Right? So this is not something born of ignorance, like laziness. This is something which is born after enthusiasm. That's why it's put after enthusiasm. Otherwise, Rupa Goswami could have started with dhairya, then utsaha, and then nishcha, But why he started with utsaha first? He said, first be enthusiastic. Why enthusiastic? On basis of what? On the basis of determination that I will reach the goal. I have that conviction. That conviction comes from where? From very nicely understanding the siddhanta and the goal, So like you say, you took your time. So it's just that you took your time. For some people, they may understand the same thing in just one day. Right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that person has blindly jumped into it. Correct? Isn't it? So you have understood the goal and now you're working towards the goal very enthusiastically, but because you're not making to it, you may become a bit frustrated, hopeless, dejected. So then the third quality Rupa Goswami is saying, have patience. It will come. Right? So therefore, first focus is enthusiasm. Not first focus is patience. First is enthusiasm. But that enthusiasm is based on two things. What are those two things? Which every person has to learn very nicely. The goal and the path. Two things. One should have enthusiasm about two things. The goal. The goal should be a very motivating goal. Then only I can be enthusiastic about it. If the goal is not motivating to me, how will I be enthusiastic about it? Right. So the goal should be very motivating. So that means, am I sufficiently motivated to go back to Godhead? Am I sufficiently motivated to see Krishna, to meet Krishna, to be with Krishna? Am I sufficiently motivated to come out of the cycle of birth and death? That will lead to enthusiasm, first thing. Second thing, when are you enthusiastic? When you are very confidently aware of the path that will take you to the goal. Because if, let's say, there is confusion about the path, should I take left or right, right is better or left is better, then you'll not be enthusiastic. Then you will be taking steps with so much of hesitation. Should I move forward? Should I go at fast speed? No. right? But when you know this is the road and this road is going to take you to the goal, then you just move very fast on that road, as fast as you can. So that's why two things have to be very nicely understood: the goal of Krishna consciousness and the path of Krishna consciousness. Right? Then I can be enthusiastic in doing activities of Krishna consciousness. The goal and the path. What is the path? So far we have studied.
Devotional service.
No.
Sadhana.
You have to add another word to devotional service.
Pure devotional service.
Pure devotional service. That's the path. Not just devotional service, pure devotional service. That's the path. And the goal is?
Back to Godhead.
Krishna Prema.
Krishna Prema, or come back to God, right? That's the goal. So one has to have complete knowledge of these two things. Then one will be enthusiastic about it. Fine. So now how does enthusiasm come? How do we get enthusiasm? We already discussed, but another way of looking at it, by getting shelter, inspiration, and guidance. We have to be sheltered. We have to get inspired, and by taking guidance. Or you have to be motivated. Motivated means inspired. Therefore, we should pray for that inspiration. Pray for that inspiration, that let me be inspired on this path. When devotees, they do their Gayatri japa, the meaning of the Gayatri is, let me be inspired on this path. That's the meditation. Please inspire me on this path. Prachodayat. Prachodayat means to be inspired. So we are praying to the deities. We're praying to the spiritual master that please inspire me on this path. Give me the inspiration. And who is the deity who is in charge of this Bhakti prerana or devotional inspiration? She is Srimati Radharani. So we pray to Srimati Radharani that kindly inspire devotional attitude into me. So that's how we stay enthusiastic, right? Enthusiasm will always be there. Okay. Everything should be used in the service of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that. Let's take a break before we go to the next paragraphs. Quick break. So we'll continue. Enthusiasm. Please read from here. We'll read now. Satish Prabhu, please read from here under the direction.
Hare Krishna. Under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, one has to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. For example, at present we are using a dictaphone. The materialist who invented this machine intended it for businessmen or writers of mundane subject matters. He certainly never thought of using the dictaphone in God's service. But we are using this dictaphone to write Krishna conscious literature. Of course, the manufacturer of the dictaphone is wholly within the energy of Krishna. All the parts of the instrument, including the electronic functions, are made from different combinations and interactions of the 5 basic types of material energy, namely Bhumi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, and Akash. The inventor used his brain to make this complicated mission, and his brain, as well as the ingredients, were supplied by Krishna. According to statement of Krishna, Mastani Sarvani Bhutani. Everything is depending on my energy. Prabhu, can you scroll down? Thus, the devotee can understand that since nothing is independent of Krishna's energy, everything should be devoted in his service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Like Srila Prabhupada personally used the dictaphone in Krishna's Seva. Previous to that, he was writing everything by himself. But then someone gifted him a dictaphone and then started using dictaphone. You will see that dictaphone in Vrindavan if you go to Prabhupada house. It's kept there, right? So in that way, when one is under the direction of spiritual master, one can utilize everything in Krishna Seva. Everything becomes useful. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he even utilized cigarettes or bidis in Krishna Seva. How? He wanted some construction work to be done in Alarnath temple. Alarnath is a place a temple at Brahmagiri, which is like half an hour from Jagannath Puri. So that is the place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go for 15 days during the Anavasara pastime of Jagannath, when Jagannath is sick after Snan Yatra. So Mahaprabhu used to live in Alarnath for 15 days. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur wanted to make a temple there. And the workers were not working at the required speed. So he asked them, why are you so slow? So they said, we are not getting our cigarettes to smoke. Why I'm saying cigarettes? Because those who are not from India, they'll not understand bidi. So actually it was bidi, the poor man's cigarette. So then Bhaktisiddhanta said, oh, you're not getting your cigarette? I'll make them for you. Personally, with his own hands. He took tobacco, took masala, all the things required, and then rolled bidis, cigarettes, and gave to those people. Okay, now you smoke and make the temple. Come on. Okay. So everything can be used in Krishna Seva, even cigarettes. That's what we are learning from our acharyas. If that's the goal, to serve Krishna, then everything can be used in Krishna service. Nothing remains unused. So a person then has complete enthusiasm. We don't have enthusiasm because we get disturbed. Oh, this problem has come, that challenge has come. Now in this situation, how will I be a devotee? How will I remember Krishna? How will I execute Krishna consciousness? So we get disturbed by those difficulties. Here, however, we understand that it's possible to use everything in Krishna service. Okay, let's read the next two paragraphs also about enthusiasm. Okay, one more only. Yes. Vishaka Mataji.
Hare Krishna. From endeavor?
Yeah.
Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called utsaha, or enthusiasm. The devotees find the correct means by which everything can be utilized in the service of the Lord. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. The execution of devotional service is not a matter of idle meditation, but practical action in the foreground of spiritual. These activities must be executed with patience. One should not be impatient in Krishna consciousness. Indeed, this Krishna consciousness movement was started single-handedly, and in the beginning there was no response. But because we continued to execute our devotional activities with patience, people gradually began to understand the importance of this movement. And now they are eagerly participating. One should not be impatient in discharging devotional service, but should take instructions from the spiritual master and execute them with patience, depending on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The successful execution of Krishna conscious activities requires both patience and confidence. A newly married girl naturally expects offspring from her husband, but she cannot expect to have them immediately after marriage. Of course, as soon as she is married, she can attempt to get a child, but she must surrender to her husband, confident that her child will develop and be born in due time. Similarly, in devotional service, surrender means that one has to become confident. The devotee thinks, Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. Krishna will surely protect me and give me help for the successful execution of devotional service. This is called confidence.
Okay, thank you. So, endeavor executed with intelligence is called utsaha. The devotees find the correct means by which everything can be utilized in the service of the Lord. It's a practical action in the foreground of spiritual life. Now, when we are engaging in devotional service with utsaha, enthusiasm, there is a chance of getting frustrated if we are not getting the results. So then we have to have patience, keep patience, understanding that the results will eventually come. To have that kind of patience, there is another quality required, and that's called confidence or determination. Confidence on whom? Confidence on Krishna, confidence on Guru, confidence on the words given in the scriptures, right? Confidence on them. That they said, so of course it has to be true then. I must keep faith. Therefore, for the word confidence, there's another word called faith, Shraddha. It's all interconnected. The kind of Shraddha or faith I have, that much confidence I have, or that much determination I have. If I don't have determination in Krishna consciousness, that means my faith is weak. My conviction is weak. Okay. So that means I have to now work on acquiring that faith, getting that faith by associating with those who are faithful. So when that faith is there, then that determination will be the conviction. That how can it be wrong? Krishna is saying it has to be correct. Acharyas are saying it has to be correct. Guru is saying it has to be correct. The scriptures are saying it has to be correct. How it can be wrong? So that's called faith, right? It has to be correct. That faith is required. Then when that faith is there, even if one is not getting the result, one is patient. Okay, it will come, it will come, it will come, it will come. Someday it will come. Therefore, enthusiastic participation in Krishna consciousness has to be coupled up with knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Initially, like someone asked this question, initially when we join this movement, we are so enthusiastic about everything. But then sometimes that enthusiasm dies. So when that enthusiasm dies, then you should know it's a time to do Bhakti Shastri. Because you don't know why you should be practicing Krishna consciousness. So now it's a time to do Bhakti Shastri. Wake up again. So now I want to seriously learn what is Krishna consciousness, what is Bhakti, what is the path, what is the goal. Then my enthusiasm will come back again. Enthusiasm is born where? It is born in intelligence, buddhi. That's the place of the birth of enthusiasm. So if my buddhi is proper, which means based on Krishna conscious teachings, then I'll be always an enthusiastic devotee. So that determination is based on faith. So it's that faith that is keeping these two qualities in us, enthusiasm and patience. We keep them together and move ahead. We are working very hard, and at the same time, we are very patient for the results to come. So when those results do not come, what happens? Your eagerness to get those results, the lolyam, the greed increases. Oh, I'm endeavoring in Krishna Bhakti since last 20 years. Until now, I have not seen Krishna even once. Right? So much time has gone. So then that greed, intense greed will develop. I want to see Krishna. Somehow that I want to see Krishna. Okay, if it's required to not sleep at night, then I'll not sleep at night. I want to see Krishna. So then that intense greed will develop. And Krishna does that actually. Krishna does not give us the results immediately because he wants that kind of intensity to develop in our consciousness. I must see Krishna. I want to see Krishna. I want to be with Krishna. Right? So this is the crux of it. Now, Prabhupada mentioned there how devotees develop this faith or this determination. So he used the line, Avashya Rakshibe Krishna e Vishwasha Palana. This is a quality of principle of Sharanagati or surrender. So we'll go to the next quality called determination or Nishchaya, confidence. To have faith upon Guru, scriptural injunctions. To have faith that devotional service to Krishna is the only goal of life. To have faith, no other path other than bhakti gives the permanent benefit. They only agitate the mind. And how does determination come? By understanding Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasha Palana. Krishna will always protect me. Keeping this faith, Krishna will always protect me. That's how determination comes. One will be determined to do things which are very difficult to do otherwise. Like I'll tell you an incident. It happened in my life. Very nice, instructive incident. So it was like in the year 2008, I just joined Krishna consciousness. I was in my second year of college. And we have learned this process of bhakti just for 1.5 months. Maybe I have expressed this before. And we were then started preaching, going to colleges, doing programs. So I was in second year and we would preach to boys in the first year. In those days, even in present days, in most of these prestigious institutes, the seniors are not allowed to intermingle with the juniors. Ragging issue, right? I don't know if you have all heard this word called ragging. So in some colleges it happens. In India, maybe in countries outside India also. So, we were not allowed to go to first year boys hostel. And if you're caught, then some disciplinary action will be taken upon you. But then that's the way you can preach. You go to the hostel, you meet them, you make them chant, you give a talk to them, you give them some Krishna prasadam. So we took a letter which was of the previous year that we have the permission, not the present year. The security guard will ask for the letter, so we'll show the letter, the upper part of the letter, the lower part will hide with the hand, which had the date. So, okay, we have a letter, we have a permission. So one day we went to preach. I was there with 2 more boys, and we are very new to Krishna consciousness. So I was in the room, around 30 boys were sitting there chanting Hare Krishna mantra on Mala, and suddenly the hostel supervisor opens the door. So then he looks at me, he looks at those boys, and he understands that these are seniors who have come here. But he was not very angry because he saw we are not doing something wrong. We were just chanting. So then he told me that you meet me outside. I said, okay, I'll meet you, just coming. And then we completed everything quickly. And then I left from there. So I sent the other boys that you go, I'll come. Now, I was quite afraid at that time, fearful, because if you are caught in the juniors hostel, you are rusticated from the college for 1 year, which means you lose your 1 year of academic life. That's one problem. Second, parents will come to know. Second problem. Third, you know, it, this whole activity of preaching Krishna consciousness may get banned. So third problem. So all this was going on in my mind that now I'm stuck. Big problem, this fellow can do anything. But immediately at that time, I prayed to Lord Nrsingadev. I chant Nrsingarti that you help. So next time I'll not do this mistake. Of course, we did the mistake second time also. But at that time, we said, you help. This time I'll not do this mistake again. You won't believe. I was thinking that before he comes to me, let me just go there and say sorry to him and say, sir, this time, we came, next time will not come. Leave us. So he was inspecting in other rooms. So I immediately tried to find where was he. And I entered into the room, and then I, lowered my head as if bowing to him. And then I was like waiting, you wanted to talk to me, so I'm here. And I was praying to Lord Nrsingadev that do something now. So then he asked me, what are you doing here? And I was like, you called me, didn't you? So he was having a question mark on his face. Who are you? What are you doing here? So I understood that Lord Nrsingadev did something. So then I immediately picked my bag and I ran from there. Then before he remembers who I am, let me just go away from here. Right? So that I'm not caught. So I left from there. Krishna protected. Krishna protects. So we took little risk for preaching. You have to take risks, sometimes for preaching. So Krishna protects. When we keep such kind of faith, what happens is determination increases. Yes, Krishna is there. Krishna is protecting. Krishna will help. So we can take such baby risks, small risks in life. And that will help us increase our determination. So once a devotee asked me actually this question, what gives you the courage to go to a country like Saudi Arabia and preach? So I said, these kinds of experiences that Krishna will protect. Krishna will help, So that is possible. We have to take such kind of not huge risks, but we can take small risks. And then Krishna will prove I am your hero. And then your faith will increase on Krishna. Right? I've mentioned this point before, isn't it? Like you have seen a Bollywood movie, sometimes a boy is trying to impress a girl, but the girl is not falling in the trap. So then the boy will hire some paid gundas, isn't it? And then the boy will tell that those gundas that you try to kidnap this girl, and I'll suddenly jump into the scene like a hero. I'll do some boxing, some punches, and you all then fall flat on the road, and then she'll fall in love with me. Right. So then that's the plan, and then the plan is executed, it's successful. So something like that also happens in the life of a devotee. Krishna puts those kinds of false, staged gundas, wrong kind of people in your life. And then Krishna wants you to depend on Krishna and make him the hero of your life. Right. So when Krishna becomes the hero of your life, that means your love for Krishna increases. So that's a very romantic way of looking at problems in life, isn't it? That Krishna is arranging such a situation. That is only possible if I have faith that Krishna will protect. And that is possible when I know Krishna exists. Krishna is a person. Right? Krishna is there. That's required. then one will have lots of patience. Okay, one will get success. It's required, because we should know one thing, that the path of pure devotional service is very intense. It means internally you are completely gone. Your material life is zero, basically, when you say pure devotional service. Of course, you may have friends, family, house, bank balance, everything. But internally, it's gone. You're dead. Materially, you are dead. And that experience is very painful to the ego, false ego. It's very, very painful. It's a very intense experience. Those people who do not have patience, they immediately jump out of that state and then come to mixed devotional service. Because pure devotional service is difficult. But that difficulty, that burning of intense fire inside, that purifies the heart and then prepares the person to become qualified to come back to God. Right? So one has to develop this patience, dhairya, lots of patience. That's only possible if one has faith, conviction. This is true. This will happen. This result will come to me. And our whole life is a practice to develop that kind of faith. Slowly, developing that conviction, that faith. Then success is sure. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasa Palana. Dhairya, fortitude. In the practice of bhakti, even in the midst of obstacles, one should have dhairya or patience. Even if there are obstacles in life, I'm not going to give up Krishna consciousness. Even when there is delay in getting the goal, I'm not going to give up the practice of bhakti. And one will not become slackened in Krishna consciousness, which means one will continue to put the required efforts. Prabhupada gives a very simple example. He says, like a girl, she's married, so she has to wait for 9 months at least to get the child, not that, okay, tomorrow I want a child. She has to wait. But then that waiting is not a blind waiting. She also gets symptoms that, yes, I am pregnant now. Yes, there is a baby in the womb now. The baby is growing, isn't it? Like I was explaining in a class, when a woman is pregnant and the baby is going to come out, she gets two kinds of changes: external changes, internal changes. Correct? Isn't it? External changes means what? The size of your dress will change. Correct? Your external look will change. Your weight will change. And all those are external changes. So you see those external changes when a woman is pregnant. And internal changes, internally also you feel different during those times, right? Correct? It's not the same. So, internally also different kinds of hormones start growing. Emotionally, you are a different person during that period, right? Sometimes it's very painful experience. So there are internal changes, which means you are aware, external, internal, both. Likewise, when the seed of Krishna consciousness is put in me, and the baby of Krishna Prem is going to come out someday, between that period also, there are two kinds of changes in me, external and internal. If I am seeing those external and internal changes, I can understand, yes, the goal will be reached. The goal will be attained, right? Just need to keep patience. All right. Okay, so before we go to the next three qualities, we can ask for questions.
Prabhu, what are the external changes that one has when one gets a seed of devotional service?
External changes, so many. Your diet changes, your lifestyle habit changes, your sometimes attire changes, hairstyle also changes, right? You have tilak on your forehead, So many things change. Correct. So those are external changes. Your dress, your appearance, your lifestyle, your habits. Externally, even externally, your attitude, qualities that people can perceive in you, they change. Okay, any other question? For those who wanted to read, you can lower your hand if you don't have a question.
Prabhuji, just one question. Just now you mentioned about the path, right? You mentioned pure devotional service and not only devotional service. Can kindly elaborate, Prabhuji, what is pure devotional service compared to the devotional service? Sorry, Prabhuji, I didn't understand that.
We will discuss that more in Nectar of Devotion book.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah, because that's the subject for that book. What is pure devotional service?
Prabhuji.
Right. Thank you. Vrindarani.
Prabhu, you said that our determination should be based on faith that Krishna will protect us. But sometimes I have fear that I will not be protected because I'm not pure devotee, and Krishna has said that he's rewarding accordingly. Also, there's a situation in which at least externally looking, it seems that Krishna didn't protect devotees, so they end up in jail and things like this.
Thank you. So first of all, I should have a very clear understanding of what is meant by protection. Right? Like when you say devotee ended up in jail. So why not see that also as protection? Externally, things did not happen the way you expected. But devotee ending up in jail, does it mean that that devotee also had a fall down in consciousness? Not necessarily. Right? Isn't it? Correct. So our faith that Krishna will always protect us will be based on with how much purity we are approaching Krishna. If we are approaching Krishna not with the intent of pure devotional service, mixed devotional service, then we cannot have this faith also that Krishna will always protect us.
Yes, that's what scares me. Because I know my faith.
Correct. So what we should do is that we should first of all understand what is pure devotional service and slowly come to practicing that. If we cannot practice it, at least we can develop a desire to practice it. That's one thing. Second thing, don't take risks which are too big or huge risks. Take risks which are not so big, sometimes, which is like, don't so much expect the life to be always the way you want, right? Sometimes giving some access to Krishna, that you control my life to some extent, in some aspects of one's life. So when we start doing that, what will happen is, just giving an example to you. If you put yourself under someone's care, now that person, if happens to be an exploitator, next time you'll be very afraid to put yourself in that person's care. Right? But if you put yourself in someone's care and that person really took good care of you, then you won't have hesitation to put yourself completely in that person's care, right? So even if I am 10% surrendered, if I try to put myself in Krishna's care for 10% surrender, the reciprocation from Krishna will be so nice. I will definitely want to then increase it to 15% or 20%. So we start from wherever we are, right? And Krishna is champion at winning people's heart. You just have to give him a chance. You just have to give him a chance, just allow him. Then he will do things, and then he will help you develop that kind of faith in him that yes, Krishna is there, he will protect you. So we start at our level. Correct. But we are not foolish. We, at the same time, we know that to do things which we are supposed to do, the normal activities of Krishna consciousness, sometimes that also might involve some kind of risk. But we'll take that risk, keeping faith that Krishna will protect. Like, to give an example, some days may be so difficult and so much less time you might have that you may feel I cannot chant my japa today, 16 rounds. But then still finding out time, keeping other things aside. Okay, there are things that I have to do, but then I must do it. Maybe if I don't do those things, then I might be at some loss, but I'm okay to accept that loss because I must do this activity. This is highest priority. So that is a very small risk, but taking such kind of risks also when required, that will help us increase our faith, and Krishna will show us, oh, you took risk for me, you chanted 16 rounds and you did not do these activities, no problem. Tomorrow I'll make it easier for you to do those activities. And those activities will get done so fast. Otherwise, it would have taken 2 hours for those things to get done. But because you took shelter of me, I'll get it done so quickly. So like that, small things will happen in our life. And then we'll lose this fear that if I depend on Krishna, I'll get cheated. It won't happen.
Thank you.
Right? So we have to slowly develop that faith. That's why surrender is an individual thing. It's like it's an individual experiments with the process of Krishna consciousness. And you have to slowly grow in that. Become surrendered to Krishna. Okay.
When devotees meet with accidents, like they are going in Sankirtan, brahmacharis, they go and they meet with accidents, so they die sometimes. So how do you define that? How Krishna is protecting them in that case? I mean, because they were out for spreading the holy name, so they were needed to spread the holy name because to people, like, so they were doing that activities, Krishna conscious activities. So still that happened.
Correct. So again, as I mentioned, what is the definition for us of the word protection? What at that moment happened to that person inside the mind and heart that neither you know nor anyone else knows who has seen the accident. Right? Externally, the body got destroyed, everything happened. But what happened in the mind at that we can't say, isn't it? So the highest protection is what? If Krishna at that moment protected that person's consciousness of Krishna. If that person died at that moment thinking of Krishna, what will be the goal? What will be the destination achieved?
Yeah, that's true. But he was spreading the holy name, or they were
Correct.
spreading the
Doesn't matter, no? By dying in this way, again, you are preaching, isn't it? When devotees, they go through extreme difficulties in life and they don't give up their resolute determination, that is the biggest preaching that anyone can do. Right? Then you are showing that your faith is so strong. If everything will be nice in your life and you're practicing Krishna consciousness, then what is the test of your faith? But when something happens to you, which is so difficult to go through, but still you keep your faith, then you're proving to the world, you see, a devotee has such strong faith. Right? So Krishna has to use devotees in different ways to preach to people. And those are pure devotees of Krishna, they agree to be used like that. So that Krishna can prove, you see, my devotees are so strong in faith. Even if such problems come, they don't give up their determination to practice Krishna. Then only he's proving, no, that a devotee is beyond the body. Then only such that proof is coming. Otherwise, how will that proof come? If everything is nice in your life, materially speaking, then how will we prove to people who are not devotees that a devotee is different? Right. So this is the way Krishna uses his devotees. That devotees go through very abnormal situations in life, very inconvenient, uncomfortable sometimes, just to show to the world that they love Krishna so much that even if they are going through hell, they're okay with that. Right? So that's possible when there is a very high level of love for Krishna, attraction for Krishna. Okay. So if a devotee dies like that, we don't lament. We say, brave soul, right? You don't lament for it. It's a brave soul. This is bravery in Krishna consciousness. We celebrate it. We don't lament about it. It's a victory. Just like if someone dies on the battlefield fighting against the enemy, then brave soul. Okay. Yeah. Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam. Thank you for the wonderful session, Prabhuji. You gave a wonderful example how we could use anything in favor of Krishna consciousness. You had given an example of the construction of a temple which was going on. It had slowed down because the workers did not get bidis to smoke. And I think it was a very brave step on part of the pure devotees who took this initiative of preparing bidis and giving it to them. But people like us, who are very ordinary, and even I have been a little in the construction field, I think probably I would have never gone and done this, just because I would think that if I did such an activity, even for Krishna consciousness also, it would earn a bad name for iskcon as well as Krishna consciousness. I would be afraid. So in such situations, there are difficulties which we face, Prabhuji. Can we say that we are just instruments in the hands of Krishna and he is using us the way he wants? So just need a little guidance on this, Prabhuji.
I gave you a very extreme example, Mataji. So such extreme examples apply to very rare souls who are that pure, that such blemish does not affect them. Right? So we give an extreme example, but that doesn't mean that we also have to start doing something like that to prove, our love for Krishna. Right? Isn't it? See, Krishna will never put us in tests for which we are not qualified. That we should know. Sometimes we have an unnecessary fear. What if Krishna will make me a pauper and tomorrow I'll be on the road or street, I'll have nothing. Don't worry, Krishna will not do that. Because Krishna puts different devotees based on their level of devotion through different tests. Krishna will never give us a test which is way beyond our capacity. Not possible, because he knows, that in this test you will fail. You'll get 2 big zeros. So why will he give such a test? Right? He'll not give such a test. So he will only give us test which is for our level. He will not be put in such test by Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Dev Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, the purport we were reading, Prahlad Maharaj mentioned the 9 processes of devotional service. And I guess the 7th or 8th one was becoming a friend of Krishna. So how do we do that?
By preaching Krishna consciousness.
So, like we are told you have to serve Krishna, but becoming a friend is like a different thing than serving.
Yeah, we preach Krishna consciousness, that's becoming a friend of Krishna.
How does that relate, preaching and becoming a friend?
What is a friend? Who is a friend?
Who helps his friend?
So by preaching, you are helping Krishna.
Yes.
So you become his friend. Right?
Yes.
Therefore, all the devotees would preach Krishna consciousness. If you want to shake hands with Krishna, become Krishna's friend. You are doing Krishna's job, you're helping him. So you preach Krishna consciousness. Okay. Then the Mataji, Satima.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble
Hmm.
Prabhu, just now one Mataji said, if a devotee expires while doing Harinama Sankirtana, doesn't it give an impression, though he is getting a benefit of reaching to Krishna while he is passing his body, he may be having Krishna consciousness in his mind. But doesn't it is giving a impression to the society that even Harinam Sankirtan is not saving that person?
No, you see, any such activity happens, it will do two things. It will enhance the faith of the devotees and it will confuse the non-devotees or atheists. So the non-devotees being confused is again Krishna's plan only. That's what Krishna wants. Anything that happens, he will do two things. Increase the faith of devotees and confuse the non-devotees. That's a part of his plan.
Actually, Prabhuji, this is also happened in my life. Actually, before of some tragic incident in my life, I used to chant Hare Krishna. People directly ask me that, see, you always say Krishna Krishna, but where does he protected you? I did not answer at that time, but uh, how to answer this directly question, but I was a little bit.
That's okay, no? Like, you see, always you cannot answer people. So you just keep quiet and keep your faith inside yourself. You don't have to always answer people. Right. Wait for time to come. So you just have to keep faith, and people will say like that. Those who are faithless, they will always find a reason to, show that you are wrong by becoming a devotee of Krishna. They will always find a reason. Now it depends on how positive you are. Actually, how positive you are. Let's say, for example, you say so and so person died, or whatever happened, tragedy happened. So if that person says, "Wow, where was Krishna at that time?" Let's say, or how did Krishna help you? So it all depends on your outlook. You can say, well, I'm alive now. I could have also died. If let's say your one hand is cut, you can say, but my other hand is still there, no? So it depends on how do you look at it. What's your perspective? And then you can say a perception. You can always say, I never made a deal with Krishna of life insurance. So I never asked Krishna for that. What I asked to Krishna is giving. So why should I not have faith on Krishna? Right. So we have to tell people that what exactly are we looking for from Krishna? Okay. Fine. Yes, Vishwanath Prabhu. Surya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Sadhana. Prabhuji, as you said, and it is also written in the book, that enthusiasm means doing the activities in Krishna service with intelligence. No? But sometimes we think that we are not at that level of reaching, but our mentors or like-minded devotees tell us to do preaching because you are a good speaker, and but inside us there is a confusion that I am not such purified person. How could I do that? And because it's the order of your mentor, you will have to do it. What should how should we look into that matter in that confused state?
See, we can do activities when we are instructed, having faith that that instruction will give us the potency. I'm not qualified, but that instruction will make me qualified, or that instruction will make me an instrument. At the same time, if you still feel that this is totally something which you cannot do, then you can even also express it to your mentor and say, this is not in my element. So it's not right. We have to because it's been told to us, so we cannot express our concerns, our doubts, our inabilities. We can always do that. Arjuna also did. No, Krishna said to control your mind. He said, I cannot control my mind. He said so. And then Krishna said, yeah, I agree with you, but it is possible. So like that, we have to express sometimes. We can express, find a midway out. If not, then you just do it, keeping faith that the instruction will give you empowerment. That's all we try to do. And when we get some result also, success also, then instead of, saying cheers to ourselves, we pass on the credit to the Parampara. It's all because of you.
It means if the persons who are hearing you and taking the classes, they are giving positive feedback, and the same instructions come to you again, that you are becoming that good preacher, then practice it. So we should do it, right?
We should do. Even if, let's say, people are not giving good feedback, you should do it. It's not always people will give good feedback. Some people will like what you are doing, some people will not like. It's not that always people will like. Like, for example, anything you do. You go out for book distribution, some people will like you, some people will not like you. Right? You prepare something for the deity, some boga. Some devotees will like your preparation, some devotees will not like it. Similarly, you're preaching, you're giving a class. Some people will like your class, some people will say boring class. So that's not the way you judge whether it was something nice or not. Correct. You do it as a service, people they like or not. That's based on the three modes they are controlled by. So we have to do our part. Right. Okay. So my question was there in the chat box. So our attitude should be that in every situation, Krishna is protecting us. Yes, only if we are doing what Krishna wants us to do. Right? Krishna is protecting us when we do what we are supposed to do. Like, for example, person A will protect person B when person B agrees to live life as per person A's direction. Right or not? Right. So Krishna will protect us when we live our life as per Krishna's direction. So first is we live our life as per Krishna's direction. Then we keep faith, Krishna will protect us. But if I live my life the way I like, and then I think Krishna will protect us, then my experience will be something different. So I live my life as per Krishna's direction. then keep the faith. Krishna will protect you. And Krishna will protect you because he promised. That's required. Okay. Otherwise, Krishna is protecting everyone as such. I mean, Paramatma is fulfilling everyone's desires, helping everyone. Prabhu, Vishwanath, are you there? Vishwanath Mukund Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm there. I have one question. That sometimes we want to check about some services with our Guru Maharaj, but as you said in the class, many times Guru Maharaj will be busy and they may not respond to us immediately. So in those cases, yes, there are many approaches mentioned, but I'm just want to check with you what is the surest way we can approach so that we can have some indications. Yes, this will be okay with our Maharaj and he will be pleased. Or even that service is suitable to us, something like that. Thank you.
The surest way is, Prabhu, first of all, you be sincere and honest. And then you express it to your spiritual master. If you cannot do it physically, you can write a letter. Even if you cannot send that letter, you can put that letter in front of the picture of your spiritual master. And then you ask your spiritual master to respond to you. He can respond in many ways. He can come to your dream and give you a response. He can respond through the mouth of some other devotee. He can send you some signal and give you a response. So like that, they have their ways of communicating to us. So we can communicate, we can do our part. Then they will reply. Like for example, you can communicate to someone by writing a text message. Correct? That's your way of communicating. And that person may not give you a reply because that person is tomorrow visiting your city and that person then wants to personally talk to you about it. Isn't it? So how the reply will come, that you cannot decide. That is that person's now problem. Similarly, we should communicate and we should communicate. And after we have communicated, the reply will come. How they will give that reply, that's up to them. But they will reply. They have that capacity to reply to us in different ways. So they will reply. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Last question. Uma Mataji.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. I wanted to know how do we remain confident in Krishna consciousness when we have many challenges?
We remain confident by developing this understanding and knowledge. Slowly, that confidence increases. It takes time to develop that confidence. So we are learning, we are practicing, we have problems, which will always be there, right? Sometimes problems from others, sometimes problems from your mind, sometimes problems created by Krishna, sometimes problems sent to you by your spiritual master. So many things will be there. And that will always be there to help us. To help us become better devotees. If problems don't come, we'll become very lazy devotees. So problems have to be there, no, to help us make progress. So it will come. And we just have to know one thing. Despite all the problems around you, if you are able to chant your 16 rounds, follow 4 regulatory principles, and be a good devotee, you are on the right track. Just go on. That's all. Nothing else is needed. If all the problems around you are not able to affect your this conviction and practice, you are on the right track. That's called nishtha. Nishtha means you're fixed up. Firm faith in Krishna. Finish. Then let the problems be there. How is it affecting you? You are doing what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Problems are a problem only when it is creating a difficulty in me doing what I want to do. But if it's not creating a difficulty, I'm able to do what I'm supposed to do. It's no longer a problem.
Yes, you're right.
So we focus on doing what we are supposed to do, and we are doing it. We should be happy. Celebrate that you're able to do it.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And in that celebration, you can invite us also for a cake party. Okay. Fine. Varshana Lena Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, my question is that sometimes when we seek advice from senior devotees or other devotees they, to take up a service or something, then we get an answer focusing more on this part that maybe in future you might get this problem, which is not certain, which is not a problem yet, but can be, may or may not be situation. So is it correct, Prabhuji, to take decision in this way when we are not very sure the problem can come or cannot, rather than just accepting the service and keeping faith on Krishna? So, Prabhuji, how shall we understand?
Let me tell you something, Mataji. You do anything in life, problem will come, no?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes, correct.
So just because problem will come, we don't stop doing it.
Yeah, yes.
Like
Yes.
those of you who got married, you knew that problem is going to come. But still you got married. Is it?
True, Prabhuji. Yes.
Right? So that was just an example. I mean, anything you do, anything else also, there are problems. When I became brahmachari full time, I knew problems will come in this ashram also. There are problems, right? Problems are in all walks of life. But just because problems are there, you don't give up. Rather, you will look at what by doing this, what am I going to achieve? That should be the way of deciding or judging, not because problems will come. By doing that seva, if you are going to get closer to Krishna, by doing that seva, if your spiritual master and Vaishnavas will be pleased, then why not do it? Just because problems are going to be there.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Sort of, I was also thinking in the way, but yeah, because when such advices come, then we also come in a state of dilemma. So thank you very much, Prabhuji.
You can tell very humbly to such people, your advice is a problem.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
You don't do anything in life, problem will come. If people are not giving you problem, your mind will give you problem. So we cannot get rid of that. That will always be there. We should not be scared with such things, Such things will always be there. So rather you become a hero in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, problems are there and you are able to fight against those problems. And then when you die, then people will say, this was a brave soul in Krishna consciousness. That should be the way to live life. That's what I was telling that day to devotees in Hindi batch. That being a devotee means how can we have our life like ordinary people? It should not be. It cannot be. If my life, my problems, my situations are all just like an ordinary person, then how am I a devotee of Krishna? Being a devotee means my life has to be different, no? If it's not there, then you made a wrong deal, actually. Right? It has to be different. It cannot be the same. It should not be the same. It doesn't matter whether grihastha, sannyasi, brahmachari, whoever. It cannot be the same. Devotee means you have to be special. Right? So that's why don't worry much. The problems are always there. If that is something which will please Krishna, please spiritual master, go for it. Of course, you can always take advice and suggestions so that problems don't come more than what is supposed to come. Then, all right. Thank you.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Last question, Neha Mataji.
Prabhuji, wearing Kanthimala and putting tilak, will it inspire Krishna consciousness on people around you?
Of course, very much. When you put tilak, you look 10 times more beautiful. Yeah. Not joking, I'm serious. Tilak makes you look very beautiful. That's given in the scripture. Tilak increases the beauty of the face. I know one devotee, he's a karate teacher. So he came to Krishna consciousness 3 years ago during the COVID times. So earlier he had long hairs, and really looked like a hippie. But then after that, now he has shaved head. So he goes to teach karate in a Christian convent school. So one day he went with such a nice tilak on his face. Okay. That was his interview day in that school for like new teacher recruitment. And the principal, he said, because he's looking so beautiful, I'll hire him today. And why was he looking beautiful? Because of the tilak on the face. You see, tilak can get you a job also. So you should put tilak.
Thank you so much for the inspiration.
Putting tilak. It's very nice. It makes you look beautiful. It makes you also always think that I am a devotee of Krishna. That's why I have this tilak on my head. When people see you, then people immediately identify you as a devotee of Krishna. So that helps them to be Krishna conscious. Correct? Isn't it? So we should put, and it's basically, we are showing our faith that I am a devotee and I accept it and I publicly accept faith. Krishna is there. Right? And if you put tilak, then you go to a place, some other devotees also will be able to identify you that you are a devotee. In this way, you can also get some mahaprasadam. Right? Because if you are a devotee, then only that person will give you some mahaprasadam. Okay, you are a devotee. I have some mahaprasadam for you. So lots of benefits. Okay, fine. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.